Our next roundtable is a deep dive into two very interesting projects, the CDG Express, but also the Grand Paris Express. Both are very ambitious programs that are set to change mobility in a big way for visitors, but also for Parisians. We'll be talking about their strategic milestones, but also their operational challenges and the long-term economic impacts of those projects on the Paris region. Welcome back, everyone. We hope you're enjoying this conference so far. We hope you enjoyed your coffee break. Up next is a panel discussion, and this is a deep dive into two very interesting projects. We're going to be talking about the CDG Express and the Grand Paris Express projects. We'll first hear from the representatives about their current state of construction, and then we'll engage in a wider discussion about strategic milestones, operational challenges, but also long-term impact on air rail connectivity, passenger experience, as well as economic development in the Paris region. So first, I'd like to take a look at CDG Express, which aims to transform airport access for millions of travelers by providing a high-speed direct rail link from Paris, Gare de l'Est to Charles de Gaulle by 2027. So for that, please do welcome Baptiste, Maurand, Chief Engineering and Capital Projects Officer at Groupe ADP and Administrator of the CDG Express. Please do welcome me.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Very happy to be here. I'm here on behalf of Alexandra Loquet, who could not be there today. So I'm there to explain you the important milestones and the story of the CDG Express infrastructure railway, which is one of the most important projects right now for Groupe ADP and its partners. So I'm going to talk quickly because I understood that we have a short time and to keep the time for the debates about what partnership is originated around this organization and this project, how this project is serving the Ile-de-France region, Paris region in particular, of course, and finally, I have a quick talk about the way it's integrated to the existing line, because it's not only a new project, it's as well a project of regeneration, the Northern Line, which is one of the main axes in Ile-de-France and needed to be refurbished. And so that's an integrated project overall. Just one word about partnership and organization. CDG Express is originally a rail infrastructure project. So there is a specific rail infrastructure manager called the Gestionnaire d'infrastructure CDG Express, GI, how do you say in French, CDG Express. This rail infrastructure manages and operates a concession agreement for the construction work of the named project with the French state and the Transport Organizing Authority, which is the Transport Organizing Authority for the CDG Express service. So our rail infrastructure manager is a combination of three strengths. The first of them is SNCF Réseau, of course, owner of the tracks, which is a part of the RI. Groupe ADP, who came into the process in the 2010 years, which is a very strategic act for Groupe ADP to be part of a rail infrastructure manager. It was by the past not the case, and it's probably one of the key points for the success of such a project. Maybe we have time to talk about this later. And finally, last but not least, Banque des Territoires, which is the French own organism for public bank. And so the three missions of this rail infrastructure manager are of course, financing the infrastructure, managing the design and construction of the rail infrastructure. And I have to say that some parts of this rail infrastructure is in the existing one, and one of the parts has to be built for the needs of this project, and in particular, the part that is going until the airport, CDG airport. And of course, after those missions are done during the construction phase, ensuring the maintenance and operation of the infrastructure. So it's a real network of partners The builders of the projects are the three organisms that I'm quoting in this slide. Of course, SNCF Réseau, as I said, and you understood. Groupe ADP is a builder too, because we have built one of the section of the airport infrastructure, and we as well have the station layout for this project. And SNCF Gare and Connexion has the management of the terminal stations. The French state is an important stakeholder, of course, because it is the concessioning authority, leader for the Transport Organization Authority, and an important player as well in the financing scheme. And the operator, we'll be talking later, it has been chosen in last years and will operate by 2027. It's Hello Paris, subsidiaries of Keolis and RATP-Dev, but Marc will talk to you later about this. How is this project is going to serve the region? Well, of course, I think you've understood this was a terrible lack of a direct link between CDG airport and Paris. It's something that needed to be changed and overcome. That's why this project is now due to 2027 because it needs to be reliable and fast and connect this airport, which is the biggest airport in Europe, if you take Heathrow on another continent, because Brexit has been coming in the coming years. That project needs to meet the expectation mainly of international passengers, not only, of course, but internal passengers are very the target of our project. We need to offer a seamless and accessible passenger journey, which is what all of us expect when we come to an airport, and in particular in an international airport like CDG. And last but not least, it is as well a project that enables us to restore the RERB, which is the link that you all know between Paris CDG and Paris City, to its original purpose as a means of daily transport. For those who have already tried to take CDG RERB from CDG, you know that it's a mix between people who do a local journey and an international journey, sometimes after a long travel, which is absolutely not the image that France wants to give for people who arrive in the capital city. And so, of course, this is a name that is completely melted with our expectation, and its commissioning is expecting on March 28th, 2027. Three key figures to remember: 20 minutes journey time between CDG and Paris. Today, if you want to go from CDG to Paris, if you don't get the direct train, it's something like 45 minutes in the RERB, so it's a real time saving. 15 minutes between two trains from 5 a.m. to midnight, so it's a wide range of offer, and 32 kilometers journey length. How to meet the needs of the passenger? First of all, of course, I said already, delivering a high standard of service to passengers. That's why we want Hello Service to be the best on this side. Providing a reliable, fast and streamlined 20-minute connection to Paris. Of course, it needs to be a journey that is easy and enables the people from both sides to get proper access with the best service possible, and contributing to the enhancement of the existing network. How we will be supporting reliable everyday mobility, because we have invested in this project a significant part of the financing to the regeneration and modernization of the daily transportation. So the main line, as we say, the north axis, has been benefiting from this funding. It will facilitate the transfer of air passengers who take RERB today to the CDG Express. So that's why we decided it is a part of the project, and that's why we are investing together. And of course, there's another point that is important, because Paris is changing and moving very fast in the transport public sector. The Greater Paris and the interconnection will be at the same time, if we talk in years, growing as well. And of course, it's new facilities that will be offered to the RERB people, and the salaries and people who want local transport will have the choice between plenty of new lines, which offers really the possibility to TGV Express to be identified as the main link of Paris to go from the airport to the rest. So how did we use those 537 million euros? while we modernized existing tracks. The process is almost finalized. It's a big process because, of course, when you intervene in existing lines, you intervene in an existing exploitation phase. So it's always difficult and it creates difficulties. Creation of turning lines. I will not go into the detail of it, but reconstruction of garage tracks for RERB. Modernization of railway bridges, and two of them were very emblematic. The first one was at Port de la Chapelle, which has been built and set up recently with the company of this new neighborhood design. Port de la Chapelle in the north of Paris is a place that is changing and growing fast. And the other one that was even more recent in 2025, the Bridge of Cathedrals, which is a bridge that was before called Pont 1. The Bridge 1, and the Bridge 1 was getting old, and of course in the process of enhancing the traffic and the system in the north of Paris with the arrival of CDG Express. The change of the Bridge 1 into a new bridge of Cathedral has been done in 2025, which was a fantastic challenge for all engineers who worked on this process, and in particular SNCF engineers who are very gathered and implicated in this project of refurbishing the RERB line. But it's not only regeneration, it's as well facilities already in operation. You can see here in the plan where the Bridge of Cathedral is setting. As you see, we've got other operations all along the line that has been done at La Plaine Terminus, of course, Le Bourget Station, operation for trains to go back and forth in Aulnay and Paris CDG Station, and depot for 4 RERB train sets. All those works has been under process for the last years with a very complex operation that needed us to stop the traffic for a dedicated period, and it was a huge preparation for all the teams of SNCF and its consortium to get those projects done. As you say in this slide, it's called PCD, Commissioning of Remote Control Station. That was the main moments for us for doing the project reality. And last PCD 5 was done in 2025, and we have a last one, 2026 PCD 6, that will be another time of fantastic engineering project. And at least the technical commissioning of the new line between Villeparisis and the airport, it's a brand new. Since August, we are starting the commissioning of the new line between Villeparisis and Paris Airport, which is a new line once again. So we have created this link, and trains are running right now on this line to test it, which is kind of a first success of the project, because when you see the train going on the lines, you feel like you've won one of the part of the project, although it's several months to go still. And one last word about the vitality of the Ile-de-France region, of course. It's overall 2.6 billion euros in the regional economy that we've injected together with SNCF Réseau and Banque des Territoires. There is no subsidy in this project. It's a partnership between operators, partners, and it benefits to everyone. And there is an employment perspective. Jobs related to operation, of course, 2,400 jobs related to construction. And it's still ongoing right now on the northern axis. To finish with my presentation, I will try to give you an overview of the tracé, as we say, of the line, and you will see how the project is going from Paris to the airport. So that was the tracé. Thank you very much for your attention. And now I will give the mic to Marc Sorrentino from Hello Paris for explaining us the service. Thank you very much.
So good afternoon, everyone. I'm truly glad to be here with you today. So a few words about Hello Paris first. Hello Paris is a subsidiary of Keolis and RATP. And as you know, Keolis is itself a subsidiary of SNCF. So this is very precious for us because thanks to this, we have a direct access to the best skills and the best specialists in heavy rail transport available in France today. So it's very interesting for us. As you have understood, the CDG Express infrastructure manager will build and maintain the tracks. We will run the trains and we will take care of passengers. So these are a few key figures. I won't talk about all of this. About the trains, we will have 13 EMUs, 13 electric trains. These are Alstom CAF Coradia trains. They are very similar to the Regiolis trains that are already used by French local lines. So they can be quite fast, and our trains, as we will see in a few moments, will be specially equipped to carry heavy luggage with our passengers. We expect 9 million passengers per year once we have reached our cruising speed. Our trains will be able to carry more than 400 passengers in every train, and we will have 150 trains per day. That's one train every 15 minutes in both directions. And we will have our own maintenance depot in Bobigny, so we will be fully autonomous in maintenance operations. So you know that already. We can reach Roissy-Charles de Gaulle in less than 20 minutes with a train every 15 minutes. And we will have one train waiting at each station at any time. That's very important. Our passengers will never have to wait before entering a train and sit. Once you arrive in the station, once you have your ticket, you can go in the train immediately. So let's talk about the price range. Unfortunately, I won't be able to give you precise numbers today, but I can tell you some interesting facts. Of course, we have a standard fare for international travelers mainly, but we will also have special fares, lower fares for Navigo subscribers. You know, Pass Navigo, which is the special pass for Ile-de-France users of Metro and RER. So they will have access to special lower fares. Families, children will have access to special fares too. And last but not least, workers of the airport will probably have access to special tarification. We have very demanding objectives in terms of quality of service, mainly in regularity. We have to reach 99.6% of regularity with only 3 minutes of tolerance. It's very hard, but we think we can do it because we have taken some special accommodations. We will have reserved trains positioned in Paris Gare de l'Est, able to launch at any moment in case of a need. We'll have reserved drivers in Paris Est and in CDG, able to run a train if one of our drivers is unavailable. And we're working with our colleagues of the RERB line, so we have special scenarios in case of degraded situation. Here you can see the interior of our trains. So what can I say? For passengers who do not want to wait, open payment will be an option. So you will be able to reach the station, use your credit card, and go on the train immediately. As you can see, we have a very large luggage storage in each train. Many screens are available in every train, so you can have real-time flight information. We have improved access for appearance, and everything we can. Everything we could make to have good passenger welcoming has been made. And now, what are the next steps? We already have launched our recruitment campaign. More than 2,000 people have already applied to reach us. So it's a real success. We are starting our first driving schools in January. So we plan to recruit and to train more than 60 drivers. We will have our own depot, as I said, for March 2026. We will run trials in February 2027, and the commercial launch will occur in March 2027. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Baptiste and Marc. Please do take a seat for our upcoming conversation. Let's now focus on the Grand Paris Express. It's also reshaping the future of metropolitan mobility. It's one of Europe's largest infrastructure projects. It will deliver 200 kilometers of new tracks and 68 new stations, dramatically expanding, of course, the regional metro network, and also revolutionizing in a big way all of the connections across Ile-de-France. For this presentation, I'd like you to welcome on stage Dominique Bureau, Chief Economist, Société des Grands Projets, and then followed by Olivier François, who's the Chief of Staff, Ile-de-France Mobilités.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the invitation. And I'm glad to present you the Grand Paris Express, a new mass transit to make Paris more attractive, inclusive and sustainable. I will present essentially what do we plan to achieve and why such a project. And Olivier will deal more precisely with what we can expect of this project. So briefly, I will essentially comment the tracé of the project and the consistency of the project to explain the underlying economic justification or interest of this project. So you have here the 5 lines of the project. It has already been said that it was 200 kilometers of essentially tunnels. And I can add that all this new network will have the same high quality of service, that is to say the quality of a high-level automatic metro with a speed of about 60 kilometers and a frequency of 2 to 3 minutes. I think that it's the main idea, the main underlying technical choice is that if we want to have modal shift, as you see, the ambition of the project is not only to serve air passengers, it's to serve all commuters, for example, in the region. If we want to have modal shift, we must provide and we must deliver high quality service. And it's if we want that people leave their cars. So second, just a point, most stations of the network are interconnected to the existing networks. Just a comment about that. Today, you have a strong discrepancy in the supply of mass transit in France between the city of Paris, where we have a lot of lines interconnected with a high connectivity between lines. And then when you go beyond the city of Paris, you have essentially radial lines. And so the main purpose of the project is to extend the area with high connectivity of the network, of the mass transit network in the region, essential characteristic of the project. So if I want now to explain more precisely why this project, I think that you must come back to the beginning of 2010s years, when there was a law by the Parliament about Paris Metropolis Law. And at this time, the diagnosis was that Paris, of course, is important and has a lot of advantages, but Paris had at this time a lot of challenges to overcome to maintain its ranking among other European big cities, for example, in a context of acute competition between cities in Europe and in the world. And in particular, it was observed that there was question about the competitiveness and the attractiveness of the city. And in particular, 3 points were pointed out. First, housing shortages in the city, resulting in particular of huge rigidities of land markets in the city, with high prices, land prices, for example. Second, on the transportation side, you have pollution and congested transport infrastructure, essentially road infrastructure, and you know that to come from Paris to the airport of Orly and Charles de Gaulle, you need to take highways, which are the most congested highways in France, indeed, A1 and A6, for example. And finally, we have also big territory and social imbalances, which has been revealed by 2005 riots in the first round of the city in the region. And at the outset of the project, there was the idea that we had to refurbish the first crown of the suburbs of our Ile-de-France region. With that in mind, we can understand the tracé of the project. For example, you have here the tracé with a typology of the type of stations and cities which are served by the new project. In blue, you have economic clusters, important economic clusters beyond the city centers, including, for example, La Défense, but only the scientific cluster of Saclay, including, of course, the economic clusters that are airports and around the big airports of the region. And then you have in red, you have more residential places, and then in green you have mixed cities. So, to briefly, you have we will deserve 21% of salaried of jobs of the region by this new project. So it's quite important. Then, what is the tracé? So the tracé aims to connect economic poles, and also the tracé tries to connect areas where there is a lot of potential for urban development near station, so that to create possibilities and to alleviate the constraint on housing shortages in the region. And so you have here the main poles, but it's a very important area and potential of development. So just a word about the economic rationale behind this project. I think it is associated with that we have in urban economics. Modern urban economics is associated with the notion of agglomeration economies. This notion has developed with the observation of the development of metropolis in the world, and with the observation that the big cities were bigger and bigger and were very productive indeed. And so the question was why? And the reasoning is that these big cities allow for a good sharing of equipments, public equipments, allow for big economic of sales in the production processes, allow for diversified products, diversified skills in the city, and then a good matching, for example, for labor markets, and also are good places for the development of innovation and so on. So the idea. For example, you have here an apparent correlation between productivity of cities and the density of cities and their productivity. And what you observe is that a strong increasing correlation. Of course, there is a question, this is an apparent correlation, but of course, perhaps it's only, for example, cities attract better skilled people, and among a category of skill, probably the most advantageous of each category. So, in this case, the correlation proves a reverse causality. But indeed, there has been a lot of works, studies of urban economists to understand this correlation and to explain that 1/2 of this correlation is causal from density to productivity. And so what we try to do is to make the city, the metropolis of Paris, more compact and more productive, and then we expect that it will be more attractive and competitive. Of course, by providing also good environment in the station and so on. So I just must add that this is not the opposite of social purposes of the project, and as you see, the tracer of the project will also aim and will also contribute to the resolution and to provide good accessibility to suburbs which have big social difficulties and that are refurbished by other public intervention, for example. Finally, I must observe that it has been considered at the outset of the project, and it is in the 2010 law, that this project should be an rail project to connect airports and the city, and good connection between airports and the city was a key element of its attractiveness and its good functioning. So you have here the different lines which connect airports and the city. We have, and I must mention that the extension of line 14 in the south is working since it has opened last year. And on the north, the new line 17 will be open in 2030 and will be at the opposite of the station that we have seen on the picture. I have not the similar presentation because essentially it's 2,000 kilometers of tunnels, so it's not very interesting to see. We cannot see them, but okay. So you have here it's in progress, and lines are going to be progressively opened until 2030, at the beginning of 2030s. Okay, thank you. So I can leave the floor to Olivier to present what we expect more precisely from this project.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the invitation this afternoon. So I'm here to talk about what we expect from the Grand Paris Express in Ile-de-France, but first of all, I should tell you about something about Ile-de-France, because maybe you are about Ile-de-France, but you maybe don't know what is it exactly. In fact, it's here. Sorry. In fact, Ile-de-France is the Paris region, is the brand name, and in fact, Paris is only 2 million residents, 2 million inhabitants, and the region is 12 million people in a territory that is two-thirds rural. So almost half of the population live in the close suburb of Paris, but the region is more than Paris and 2 million inhabitants. Moreover, every year in Ile-de-France, we welcome more than 25 million tourists, French tourists, and 22 million international tourists. And public transport represents 10 million journeys every day. So the mission, what is the mission of Ile-de-France Mobilité? Ile-de-France Mobilité is the mobility agency for the region with a budget of 13 billion a year. IDFM, Ile-de-France Mobilité, has its own revenue with a mobility tax on companies with more than 11 employees, and we have a revenue from the users' fees and contribution of the members, region, City of Paris, and department. And we have Ile-de-France Mobilité at his own board, and this board is composed with local elected of the members and led by the president of the region, of the Paris region, who is Valérie Pécresse. So with its public and private partners, the agency organizes one of the densest and busiest network in the world. So our mission mission is to define and organize the public transport, pricing definition, contractualization. So you see all of our mission. What we do, what is our role in the Grand Paris Express? In fact, Ile-de-France Mobility, as the mobility organizing authority, is responsible for designating the future operators of the Grand Paris Express and for financing its operation and maintenance, which is a cost about 1 billion a year for us. 1 billion more to finance each year to operate the Grand Paris Express. And so the operators is tasked with operating and maintaining the lines, stations, and system of the GPX network. It ensures high performance and safe service in coordination with Ile-de-France Mobility and the infrastructure manager, as you already heard about it, and while contributing the commissioning, safety, and management of technical references. So today what we do this year is we buy the rolling stock for the Grand Paris Express and building 4 new metro lines that are fully automatic, fully connected. We already told 39 interconnected stations with the existing network and capable of running at almost 65 kilometers per hour with an interval of 2 or 3 minutes, requires a high performance transport system. So in this project, Ile-de-France Mobilité choose and pay the rolling stock. We already pay about 2.5 billion euros for the new subway. And so in the rush hour by 2035, almost 20% of the journeys should be on the new network. We have many challenges for the Grand Paris Express, so I think I have to go quick. No? Okay. So improving the offer for user, which is enhanced service coverage and network connectivity in the territories. Improve the robustness of the network through transport offering and interconnections. Enhance service and management of the degraded situations. We have to successfully implementing the conventional framework, support selected transport operator, finalize the conventional framework with the infrastructure manager and the Société des Grands Projets, and successfully manage the future competitive tender. Achieving the project with partner, which means successfully design a high-performance, operable and maintainable system at the best cost. Work with operators, the Société des Grands Projets, RATP, infrastructure, and commission, operate and maintain the network under good conditions. And successfully implement intermodality and synchronized interconnection project in line with commissioning schedule. And so preparing for the new operational mission, continue the transformation of Ile-de-France Mobilité, currently with Grand Paris Express, which means the ticketing service information system, the fuel ownership of rolling stock, the brand strategy, the digital strategy, and asset management, and management of commerce and advertising operators. So talking about intermodality, we work on development of public space around the station. We work very close with Société des Grands Projets on specification of what is the space around the stations. And we take care a lot about intermodality. For us, every minute, every second is very important to commute from a mode to another one. And so we work to improvement of waiting comfort in various areas of the station forecourt, provision of high quality passenger information, and enhancement of pedestrian pathway. And also we implement a lot of bicycle storage. It's one of our big policy. So intermodality is one of our priority, and is the key of the success of public transport, of everyday public transport. So the subject, the Grand Paris Express will have the same pricing and the rest of as the rest of the network. For today, it's how it will work. It will be fully integrated into the current ferry system, and for current user, this is an opportunity because as they will have almost twice as many kilometers of metro the same pass. And from or to the airport, the special fare, we have a special fare, we talked already about it. It's currently 13 euro, but it's only for people who don't have a pass. People who live in Ile-de-France, they have a pass, they don't pay this special price. But the tourists and people who come, they pay the price of 13 euro and they have to buy a card because we have a card. But you also can take your ticket on your smartphone. It's very easy. And currently our system do not accept credit card payment, but we are studying the cost of implementing such a system. It will be soon in the buses, but so we are studying what is the cost and how we can do with this thing. And to finish, because beyond transport, the Grand Paris Express is a lever for urban transformation. It reshapes local centers, connect areas that are currently less well served, and rebalances access to opportunity across the metropolis. And tomorrow, 95% of metropolitan residents will live within 2 kilometers or 10 minutes of a subway train station. And to finish, almost, by 2035, 60% of residents in the region, Paris region, will have working access to the core network. 75% of jobs will be accessible on foot from the core network. So the advantage of the project is that it is being carried out in a densely populated area, meaning users will already be present. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Olivier, Marc, Dominique, and Baptiste. So thank you very much for your presentation, because I think it gives a good overview of the advancement of each project. Now we understand that you don't all have the same aim, but of course there's overlapping interests. We're talking about lines that are connecting Charles de Gaulle to Paris, not only, but one of them is that. So, one question would be, we could see this, onlookers could say that these projects are perhaps competing, but you've all said that they're actually quite complementary. Why is that?
I can take that
Baptiste,
one.
sure.
Maybe to start with this question, I must say that everyone here is aware that we are living something that we will not live for decades. It's a complete massive change of how the public network in Paris is reshaped. So that's the first strength of Paris. We have been able to set up many projects that will completely redesign the accessibility map of Paris and the airports in particular. And the first thing that I'm thinking about when I talk about ADP is that we are very happy to have the line 14, as was said earlier, to go directly to Orly, which has completely changed the way the passengers think they are traveled to the airport. The second thing is that given this, we need this direct link to Charles de Gaulle, which is the main international asset in Paris. It's the first door for the world, and it's it's not a here, now, and yet. And now we need it, really. We, as ADP, came into this project because we thought that we needed to be part of it to really get it so that the airport stays in the top level ones. And it will stay according to different reasons, but this one will be one of the mains. And of course, it's great to have other projects that will alive, like Line 17, that will allow different categories of people. Most of them are people who work on the platform, who will have this access. Most of them will live in a 9-3 Seine-Saint-Denis department. Line 17 will be completely irrigating this region. And of course, some passengers will take like 17. If I live in Saint-Denis and I have to take a plane, probably the people will take like 17. But
Line 17 for it was the
Grand
yellow
Paris Express
yellow line
that will open. And we, as ADP, we give one part of the land at the heart of the terminal to the station to be built right now. So for us, it's complementary. We offer a wide range of possibilities to get into the airport, and globally, it will maximize our impact on the overall economy.
Just a few compliments in this direction. I think that, of course, there are two projects with the quite same traces. Indeed, that this two projects have not the same station and the same connection and so on. So I think that moreover, you must have in mind that the reference, the counterfactual, and the existing situation is that the service, the mass transit service for the airport is very bad in Paris, and we needed to change drastically this situation. And so, yes, there are two projects, but indeed, the situation is that we have a very bad situation. And then we can go on the idea that the demand and the different are not exactly, there is complementarities between, there is some segmentation. In the case of Grand Paris Express, perhaps we want to serve air passengers, but we do not serve an air station, only an air station. We serve an economic hub with commuters who work in the economic cluster near from Villepinte to Roissy, Le Tremblay, and so on. And so it's a project which aims to satisfy different customers. Mm. And then, of course, on the side of mobility and gains of time with the new project, indeed the connections are not exactly the same. And so we serve different areas of the metropolis for La Défense, for example, for Marne-la-Vallée, yeah, and so on. So it's not, we can say, and just to finish, of course, the two projects in France to obtain environmental authorizations and to obtain the different authorization to make such projects, a public project, we must prove that the project is of a public utility. Mm-hmm. And the two process for the public utility of Line 17 of the GPE and for CDG Express were quite at the same time. Of course, the question was, are these projects substitutes and competitors or complementary? And so it has been looked carefully at this aspect. And indeed, of course, there is some overlapping of perhaps about 10% of the traffic of each project, which are overlapping, but mainly they are complementary.
Olivier, what are the main lessons that you've drawn from this experience construction-wise?
So what we can... Works? Yes? What we can learn for a 125-year-old subway system and his little brother, which will soon be entering in service. A few ideas: standardization, that means speed and efficiency. Paris did it in 1900 and again in 2020. It's a industrialization of buildings, so it's standardization, sorry, and it's easier. So clearly establish your specification and stick to them. And the design is the identity makes the infrastructure beautiful, and the people will take care of it.
Thank you for that. What are some of the main technical and regulatory challenges that your team are facing, Baptiste perhaps, and then Marc? And then maybe how are you overcoming them?
Just one word to say that this project was and still is a new object in the country for transportation. We've back in the years where it was thought, it's a new model of building a project. Of course, having ADP, SNCF doing a team for building this project has been a long process, process that is now ongoing and enabling this project to go and to be a reality in the process. Because simply it's not a network project, it's a link project. And so now that we have faced these challenges, many aspects of it have been designed specifically for the project. Then the Hello Paris was chosen by the French state to operate this project, and then we will have a special regulatory context for the project to be run. But still, it works. That was the main thing that we wanted, is that it works, and it works well. And I must say that with our partners SNCF and Banque des Territoires, we are very keen on having this project on tracks at time in March 2027, have the best way to make the passenger and air passengers in particular get directly to this project to take the train and have the best service in possible. And that's why Marc presented all the good aspects of the trains and the speed and the service. So that's mainly what I could say on this topic.
Well, I believe our main challenge will be quality of service, and especially punctuality, regularity. So we are already working with other operators, with the RERB, for example. So we are trying to imagine, to anticipate any situation, so we can have emergency scenarios, alternate routes. We also are working on our reserve drivers, reserve trains. Everything we do, everything we plan is to have the best quality of service for our customers.
Now, both projects are progressing at impressive speeds. You both have your share of complexity as well. Dominique, how do you manage, for instance, the coordination between multiple stakeholders, contractors, but also regulatory bodies, and trying to keep all of that on track?
Perhaps to begin, I must mention that what is Société du Grand Paris, we have not so much precise. Indeed, if we consider a Grand Paris Express and innovation, essentially we have in mind incremental innovation on automatic metros to have high quality of service, as said by my colleagues. But we have also, I think that Grand Paris Express is also innovative on the side of governance. And because we are a project firm, a project society dedicated to the realization of the Grand Paris Express. And why that? First, because we wanted to achieve the project in a short time, and it was necessary to have all people focus on the realization of the project to achieve the good schedule. And second, the success of the project depends of the transformation of the suburb near the stations. And so it was important to have a body which can discuss with all local authorities and so on, to have a common vision of the transformation of the city. So we have a quite specific body, which is a Société des Grands Projets, to realize this project. And I must add, also with a innovative funding, because one problem was that when we decided to make this project, there was a debate in France. Yes, but this project will carry out other projects in the region. And so it has been, but why we do this project is for economic development and to consolidate the place of Paris, for example, for tourism. And thus, the project is essentially it is financed by a debt, green debt, but it's funded by specific taxes on the business real estate sector and taxes on the tourist activities. And so, in this case, there is no crowding. We do not ask poor people, poor commuters, to fund this project for international air passengers. It's not the case. We have quite an adequation between the funding of the project and the beneficiaries of the project.
Olivier, you want to add something?
Maybe what can I say? Moreover, the stability of the governance is one of the key of a success because this project have been decided by the state at one moment. Over state was President Sarkozy, and the region was.
Please do pull up your microphone closer.
Sorry. And the region was on the left side with the socialist, and so maybe they had the fear, and that the money spent by the state could be spent by the region, and so that's why one of the reasons we have a dedicated company to build the Grand Paris Express. But after, when it changed, the president became a socialist, and the president was the region was Republican, and so everybody kept, in fact, this organization of a project, and it didn't change. And it's something very important because the project continue and
despite political,
yes.
briefly.
It was what was very important. It was public commitment for the project. So it's very important at the heart of its governance.
Very well. Marc, how will Charles de Gaulle Express integrate with the existing transport network to ensure smooth passenger transfers? And I'm thinking, of course, is specifically with regional and metro lines.
Well, as you may know, at the beginning of 2027, a tunnel will join Paris Gare de l'Est on Paris Gare du Nord. So, in fact, these two stations will become one station, and it will be possible for passengers to reach Paris Est with CDG Express, then use the metro connections in Paris Nord. So it will be very easy for passengers to go everywhere in Paris, and we are working on combined tickets, so people can buy a ticket in Charles de Gaulle Airport, reach Paris Gare de l'Est or Paris Gare du Nord, and then use a metro or RER to go in a specific location in Paris. So it will be fully integrated in the Paris network.
Now, full integration is also a promise of the Grand Paris Express. How is Ile-de-France Mobility ensuring that these new lines speak seamlessly with the current network? And I also like to hear Dominique also on this question. Olivier.
We are working already with Société des Grands Projets, and we are working with the operators. We select the operators, we have a specification, and so we worked a lot before the building to ensure that every minute count. I already told, but it's very important. It was a big debate because the position of a station of the Grand Paris Express was very important to allow each commuter to take the less time to commute from a line to a line. This is a success and the key of a success. And so we have a lot of specifications, so we talk a lot with all the stakeholders.
Okay, Dominique.
Just to go on this side, I have already explained how the tracé was organized to make the integration between this new network, automatic metro network, with the existing network. But I can go on with the technical choices of the project. As I have already said, the project is mainly realized by tunnels. Why tunnels? It's expensive. Two main benefits. First, it's a condition to go quickly, because if we go surface or near surface project, we have big, neither in my backyard problem in the cities, and so it's impossible to have very reasonable delays to make the project. That's one side. But the other side, so the project is 40 meters underground. The big benefit of that is that we can choose the position of the station to provide the better service and the better interconnection with existing network. And so this is very important. We have not to try to find a place to make the station. The station is 40 meters under the ground, and then we have it's quite complex to go to the ground, but the position of the station is the better for the mobility, for the users, and for the economic development. That's very important.
It's very important, but it's another cost, because it's operating cost, because the station is very deep, and so we have a lot of maintenance in more. But it's the choice to ensure that the commute is
short, right? So you're just talking about economic and societal impact. Let's maybe zoom out. What macroeconomic and urban development benefits do you expect from the Grand Paris Express once it's fully operational, and perhaps what are the key prerequisites for success?
Yes, about the benefits of Grand Paris Express, you can have in mind that if we consider only users' benefits, as we compute usually time gains and so on, we have just the balance between the cost of the project and the benefits. And economic extra benefits. And what are these benefits? These are productivity benefits, what I have shown in my slide about the productivity impact. So these productivity impacts are absolutely crucial to justify the project. And what is the condition for them to emerge is the transformation of the urban territories served by the project. So it's very important. What is the good news is that we observe, for example, in the south of line 14, that not only users are quite happy of the new service, but also that the station and the neighborhoods near the stations are transforming.
Right.
For example, you have in the south, you have Orly station, but you have also Gustave Roussy station. Gustave Roussy is a very important hospital and very big center for
research. Right. Yep.
But academic research.
Yes.
And until the opening of the line, it was very difficult to attract
scientists,
the biotech and the startups and so on. And since the project has opened, we see
a change in that.
Biotech are coming.
We don't have much time, so if you could keep your responses quite short, because I'd like to just touch on a couple more topics, and I think we only have about 7 minutes left. So, but Marc and maybe Baptiste on this question, how do you see Charles de Gaulle Express shaping, and this is something we spoke about in the previous roundtable, but shaping the traveler experience and the perception of Paris, especially for international visitors that arrive at Charles de Gaulle?
Your question already answered because when you say to have the Paris feel, to be in Paris already when you arrive in the airport, that's our ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Normally, when you arrive in the airport, you feel like you're in a space that looks like the same airport in the world, and that's exactly what we don't want to do anymore in Paris and in ADP in particular. We redesign our boarding halls for the passenger to feel like he's still in Paris before he takes his last plane to go back home. And this would be probably the same experience we want them to have when they go onto CDG Express. They are in Paris Airport, and they are taking their hands until the train to get in the center of Paris and get this experience right on time.
Marc, do you have anything to add on this question, or?
Well, Baptiste has very well said everything I could say. what we want is passengers arriving at Paris Gare de l'Est feeling they are already at the airport, or the people coming out of plane at Paris Gare at CDG Express at CDG, feel they are already in Paris.
Yeah.
We want airport and Paris be connected by CDG Express. That's our main goal. That's what we want to do with this project.
So I'd like to talk about governance, sustainability. There's so many other questions I have, but maybe we can take a few minutes to see if there are questions coming in from the audience. I think it's important that we get to also chat. I think, sir, you had a question earlier.
I didn't know if you had enough time. We heard on the tour that you were looking at putting a first-class operation on CDG Express, and I was curious how the car might be different in terms of amenities, if at all, and what the price difference would be, like 50% more or twice more.
Okay, I believe this question for me. As I said, I cannot give you any precise numbers today, but what I can say is that with our specific fares, it will always be more interesting for a passenger to use CDG Express rather than a taxi. If you are an international traveler, if you're a family, if you're a child, it will always be more interesting to use CDG Express rather than taxis. We were talking about competition a few minutes ago. I believe our true competitors are not other railways or the lines. We are complementary. I think our true competitors are individual cars and taxis.
Do we have other questions?
If you build a transit line
Yep.
hoping to change land use,
Yes.
and you assume ridership from the changed land use, what about the first decade before you have changed the housing, changed the economic development? Will there be ridership then?
The process is quite, you are right. Indeed, we observe already that, for example, we have a very big differentiation between a residential investment and a business investment, for example. We observe for residential investment, real estate investors has anticipated for sometimes the project, and we observe that we have a transformation of the neighborhood from the private sector that anticipates the project. So we observe that the transformation has beginning before the opening of the line. Not in, it's quite different. For example, this need to have a shared vision of with Société des Grands Projets is only in charge of the realization of the transport, the infrastructure. So mainly the decision to invest, either from the business sector, either for housing, result from private decision. And so we observe that depending of the stations, the transformation is, and we have an observatory with APUR, especially, to observe the transformation of the city. And on a lot of neighborhood station, we have anticipation for residential. Also, we have public for social housing and so on. And so we have coordination with public actors of housing, of social housing. For business sector, what we observe, it's this takes time. And of course, we think that that will take a certain time. It will not be immediate at the opening of the line. We will not have the traffic. And you have the example. For example, you have the line 18, which is the south line of the project, which is a line which has smaller trains because it will have also a smaller traffic at the beginning.
It's called the line of the rabbits by the detractors.
By the detractor. But if the line which will serve the scientific pole of Saclay, which is the main scientific pole in France, which is the first university in Shanghai rankings and so on. And so, of course, we are in the case of the immediate rate of return of the line is coming that we realize the project. So as long as we have not realized the project, nothing happens. So we must admit that the project has to be done immediately, and it will be one of the first lines which will be working. It has been, and thus, then we expect that progressively we will have the process and the process of clustering and so on at the level of academic universities, but also industrial innovation clusters at Satori and so on. So, of course, there will be some delay between the beginning, the opening of the line, and the impact. Some impacts come before, but of course, most impacts will come progressively as the process of development will take place.
And maybe just to tell something in more is in France the mayor has the power to give a license to build, and in this project it is in France and in everywhere maybe, but so the power to give the authorization to build is disconnect of the project of the Grand Paris. So we have it depends on the mayor, and if the mayor change, the project can change. So you have the business around the station and the real estate who can want to do something, but the question of who is the mayor and what is the project is one of the condition of the development of a project of building around the station.
Okay. Briefly.
Just a word about this question. Of course, we had that in mind for the financing of the project, and indeed, the fact that the financing of the project, the funding of the project, is established on specific taxes on business and tourists, allow us to have revenues before the process and the dynamic of the development of the traffic. And it's very important to avoid big problems to refinance, to have to finance again the project very early before having sufficient traffic. But it depends on, it's not the same thing for the different lines, but for some lines, like the line 18, we have effectively to have in mind the delay between opening of the line and then the
Well, thank you very much. We're coming to the end of this conversation. If you have any other questions, you can also address them to our guest afterwards. Thank you all for this insightful conversation. And yep, that's it from us. Thank you so much. Have a great day.